nei vienas teisėjas nenori suklysti.
Jos nuoširdžiausia svajonė, kad aš baigčiau teisėjau.
If you made a mistake, they don't let it in.
A ref should be doing the job correctly.
Nepasakys, kad laukia faina tau karjerą daryti. Same shit as last week.
You don't need to be sick to get the psychological help, you know?
Mes sakom, nereikia, kad mūsų mylėtų, mums užtenka, kad mūsų gerbtų. Sakai, tam tėvui. Tu, čia kietas, po rungtynių nepabėg.
You cannot blame yourself because you did everything before the game. Tos komunikacijos tikrai nelauk.
Nuvažiuoji į Belgradą, tai ten iš tunelio išlindi ir tu jau gauni ten švilpimą ir čiut nedaiktų.
You cannot listen to what everybody says.
Fan experience is unbelievable. Everyone knows basketball is a religion in Lithuania, so when you go to games on a team like Ritas, especially the season they've had this year, it's been very good. And every atmosphere and every game is a different and unique experience. You have a lot of things that could impact that. Obviously, if your team's losing, the fans won't be that loud. If refs aren't having good calls, then obviously again mood can change.
Every week, tens of thousands of fans fill the arenas to watch basketball. They know the players, they know the coaches, they know the stats, the history, and the drama. But there are three people on the court that almost nobody knows by name, and that might be exactly the problem.
Officiating in basketball is not so easy, and sometimes people can ask you a question, why you are doing this job? But the answer is quite simple, because ability to take a good decision under the big pressure, I think this is the key factor. That's why I'm officiating.
Now I want to be near basketball and to be on the top level on the court, but not as a player. I grew up with basketball. You know, I watched the basketball. I watched the national team playing. It's like basketball. It's in our blood. So.
It's incredibly hard because the family truly suffers. If you ask my daughter what her dream is, she would say that her most sincere dream is that I stop refereeing. Everyone sees the courts. You travel somewhere and it looks incredibly fancy and great, but we sacrifice a lot of things.
Yeah, sadly we see experienced referees, we saw it in the Rugby World Cup this year, a couple of very experienced referees retired after their World Cup final and received some pretty serious abuse, so it definitely does have an impact. Officials are expected to be right 100% of the time, and when they're not, they hear about it from every side. So, an important thing is really understanding the referee as a human. I think once they're depersonalised, they just become a target which it's acceptable to abuse.
The hardest part in officiating basketball is keeping your head cool when everything around you is on fire. It's not about always being right, but about controlling the game. Away from the court, referees miss birthdays, anniversaries, and weekends with their families. A EuroLeague official logs over 100 flights in a single season. Home is rare, sleep is rare, and fatigue is constant.
Basketball players, for example, if they have home games, they don't fly anywhere. We don't have home games. I'm talking about European competitions. We're away every single week.
What might seem simple from the stands is far more complicated in reality. Inside a referee's mind, the game never stops moving. Clock, players, coaches, rules, substitutes, and crew. But what happens when 10,000 people in the stands decide your decision is wrong?
On the other hand, when you have this game 5 or you know, very, very important game, you cannot also overpress yourself, because then it will not be possible to execute good or to perform good.
Every call matters. Like players, officials are evaluated. One mistake can sideline them for weeks. That pressure is real, but fair, as it teaches them to stay focused and sharp. To handle it, preparation is everything. Officials study hours of game footage, analyze teams, anticipate situations, and plan how to handle each potential flare-up. The better prepared they are, the more confident and calm they become.
The officials at the top level are pretty ingrained on this as a process. They're used to preparing for big competitions. They'll have very consistent pre-performance routines, so they'll go through the same acts each game with consistency and with anchors.
When routine cannot be followed, they fall back on their chosen essentials: a coffee, a gym session, a stretch. And physical readiness is part of the job too. Heart rate monitors, conditioning programs, and fitness tests are all there to ensure officials are ready when it matters.
They keep an eye on you, and you can't just not exercise. And also, if you don't train and prepare, running on the court will be more difficult.
You will feel good if you can move back and forth and your pulse doesn't rise too much. Then you will be able to think about refereeing in different situations. If you run down the court a few times, your pulse will rise, you will start thinking about how to recover, and you might feel that you're not very prepared. Then you will have those additional stimulants.
Big factor in confidence. If you know you can be in the right place, you've got the skills to anticipate where the game's going to go and where you need to be, that will have a huge impact.
Routines are what separate professionals from lower levels. It works as a reset, a way to lock in confidence before the chaos of the opening tip.
Especially before important games, we try not to change the routine that we always have.
I don't have some special breathing routines, but I have some movements that helps for me. For example, if I feel that somebody's happening not good, I just do like that, like click with my fingers for myself. Nobody sees that, but it's like click for myself. Wake up, wake up.
We use a lot of self-talk to keep ourselves focused on those critical cues that are important in the situation. Others use triggers. I've worked with referees who use smelling salts to keep themselves focused.
And focus is essential, because in a professional game, everybody will do whatever it takes to win. Fans will remember every call from years ago. Coaches shout to test you. Players fight. Pressure surrounds you from every angle. But a referee can't let it show. Even when his mind is burning, his body language must stay calm.
For us, it's like new game, new day at the office. You go there to do your job, and you do it. But often, it's the teams that can't forget.
Often we get caught into firefighting mode where we see players fighting and there's another thing going on over here and we're like, where do I start? We do a lot of work on body language, on positioning, use of space to ensure that you're not in the middle of that melee adding to it and you're not stood there pinging your whistle repeatedly, again, creating that sensation of conflict.
And tempers perhaps inevitably are finally starting to fray.
Once you've built your way up to that sort of level, they'll have developed the coping skills to deal with that situation and they won't perhaps see it as pressurizing as others will. Under normal circumstances, we're able to direct our attention in two different ways. We're stimulus driven when ball's in play, become perhaps a bit more goal directed when it's not in play. When we're under pressure, that changes. And instead of being able to adapt flexibly, we tend to get concerned with what's in front of us.
We try not to react. If you load yourself up with those things, you won't survive in those games.
The belief that one referee can decide an entire game is common, and in many ways understandable, because it comes from passion. Refereeing is the one role in basketball that can never fully satisfy everyone. To manage that reality, officials use posture, positioning, and timing to bring order to the chaos. And sometimes they think of family, because basketball is one thing, but life off the court might be the only thing able to get them back in focus.
You go to Belgrade, you barely come out the tunnel, and you're already getting whistled at and almost hit with things. So, if someone shouts at us there, that's cake.
For the referee, if he made a mistake with big crowd around you, they don't let it in. You will get the F word on referee chant and so on and so forth. So I guess the bigger pressure is on referees.
All of it. It can change all of it. Like if you play against a really bad team and your star player on that bad team's playing really well, but he's getting called these fouls or silly mistakes, and the ref isn't saying it, or he's not getting called the fouls to impact the game, he can change everything. If he doesn't give a call, the player won't get the points, and then the ball gets on the other team's hands. It won't matter. Some refs are just like the stupid mistakes, and everyone knows if it's that ref. For example, in football, people always know what referee's at their game because it matters. Because it matters how it's going to impact the team.
The truth is that no one is right 100% of the time. For that reason, governing bodies have made communication a cornerstone of the game, proving itself to be the most effective tool for resolving conflict on the floor.
Well, what I saw from my angle, it was hit on the hand. I believe you saw something different. Maybe you're right, I don't know, but I'm just honest, what I saw.
We use a model called VAPOR, volume, articulation, pitch, emphasis and rate. And when we're under pressure, we tend to talk a bit higher, we articulate ourselves badly, and we speak a lot quicker. And when we take a moment, embody our deep diaphragm voice and explain the situation with authority, then we're more likely to get listened to.
After every game, officials review footage and reflect on their performance. But there are also moments when celebration is deserved, like the final of the 2022 EuroLeague, a game that will not soon be forgotten by Vilius.
It was a very important game, I would say. And the emotions are quite high. This is like a satisfaction for yourself, you know, that you were able to perform under the big pressure.
The reality at the professional level is that abuse is far less common than it might appear. Players, coaches and officials are trained and held to a standard. In some countries, even the fans have embraced that culture of respect.
Generally speaking, regarding the behavior of Lithuanian fans towards referees, I would say that the players' conduct is really good. The behavior is appropriate, and if you've noticed, even when introducing the referees in many arenas, they get applauded. That says a lot, because it shows that we are seen as participants in the game rather than as some kind of enemies.
Well, in Lithuania, I'd say we're probably one of the only countries that actually show respect to the referees. We clap them before every game, and I think that's important because we want to show them that sign of respect and that they're here to do their jobs and we respect them for doing it.
But it is not the whole picture. More than 70% of newly certified referees quit within 3 years. The main reason? Abuse from parents and coaches at youth level.
Now
this is different. This is about respect, understanding, tolerance. When people come to watch their child play, and there's a young referee who has maybe 2 years of experience, maybe 16 years old, this is a deeper topic. And it's a big problem everywhere in the world.
Čia gilesnė tema ir čia didelė problema ir visam pasauly tas. Aš kaip atsimenu, kaip aš pradėjau teisėjauti.
I remember when I started refereeing and had some of those problems with those parents. In Panevėžys, there were those rules. If someone was getting at you, climbing on your head, you had to somehow defend yourself. You say, "Oh, you're the tough one? Don't run after the game, stay." And he'll be the one sliding out of the gym in the last 2 minutes. There were all kinds of stories like that.
One of the things that I'd like to see improve in the game, we have officials here and we have players and coaches over here, and unfortunately there's no overlap, or there's very limited overlap. Now in some sports they manage that a little better with weekly communication on decisions we got right, decisions we got wrong, and this is what we're going to try and do to enhance that.
Communication and respect should not remain ideals, but a habit. In European competitions such as the EuroLeague, FIBA or LKI, support comes from mentors, psychologists and families. Individual guidance helps referees understand what works for them, strategies to keep them focused, calm and in control.
Psychological help it's a really important thing, and You don't need to be sick to get the psychological help, you know?
There are more and more teams that have psychologists. Lots of players personally reach out to psychologists. This also applies to referees. I know for a fact there are colleagues who use the services of psychologists for individual discussions and so on. Most of the time, the psychologists for referees are family members. They help us the most to recover, especially after some tough moments.
Nobody becomes a referee for the glory. They do it because they love the game, the same game of basketball. Refereeing isn't just about rules. It's about composure, focus, and resilience. The future of basketball is not only decided by the players who shoot or the coaches who plan. It is decided by whether the next generation chooses respect over rage, understanding over abuse.